It is a Saturday morning in October. The washer that ran for your whole family finally quit. So you've driven down to the appliance store, and now 30 machines are looking back at you in 2 long rows, every single one wearing a tag that promises it'll last a lifetime. And a salesman is already crossing the floor toward you, ready to tell you the very same thing about whichever one has the best markup this month. You can hear them before you even get to the back wall. The lids are propped up just so. The lights overhead are bright and white and a little too kind, the way showroom lights always are. The way they make everything look cleaner and better built than it is. There's a sticker on each one with a number on it, and under the number there's a word, and the word is almost always lifetime or heavy duty or commercial grade. And not one of those words means a single thing once you've got the back panel off and you're standing there looking at what's actually holding it together. Here's what that salesman is not going to tell you. Most of what's on that floor I wouldn't put in my own house on a bet. I've seen the inside of hundreds of these machines. I've seen what fails and why and how soon, and the tag that says lasts a lifetime is the cheapest part on the whole appliance. It costs them a few cents to print. It costs you everything, because it's the thing that talks you out of asking the only questions that matter. So let me slow you down before that salesman gets to you, because the next 10 minutes are going to save you a few $1,000s and a few years of aggravation, and I'm not going to ask you for anything in return. My name is Earl. I've spent a long time taking apart the things this country used to build to last, and figuring out exactly when and why they stopped. Not in theory, on a bench, with a flashlight, with my hands inside the thing while it's still warm from the wash it died on. I've pulled the panels off the cheap ones and the expensive ones and the ones in between, and after enough years you stop seeing brand names and you start seeing decisions. Somebody in a room you'll never sit in decided to make a part thinner, decided to swap a metal gear for a plastic one, decided that a machine which lasts 20 years is a problem they needed to solve. I've spent my whole working life reading those decisions backward, the way a coroner reads a body, and I can tell you most of what's killing your appliances was never an accident. So today I'm going to do something simple. I'm going to give you the only 4 washing machines I'd actually buy, and the honest reason for each one. That's it. 4. Not a top 40, not an affiliate list, not whatever the algorithm wants me to push this quarter. 4 machines, because 4 is all that's left worth carrying out of that store. And before I do, let me be straight with you, because you've earned that and the salesman won't give it to you. This is not a sales pitch. I'm not selling you anything. I don't have a store. I don't have a brand of my own. I'm not getting a kickback on which lid you lift. And I'll be honest, the whole way down, including the catches, because every single one of these 4 has a catch. There is no perfect machine. Anybody who tells you there's a perfect machine is the same fellow who told you that sticker meant something. What there is the right trade-off for your house, your budget, and how far you live from somebody who can fix the thing. So I'm going to give you the good and the bad on all 4, plain, and let you make the call like a grown person instead of getting talked into it. But first, let me tell you how I judge a machine, because it's nothing like what's on the showroom card. I don't care how many wash cycles it has. 40 cycles, 12 cycles. You're going to use 3 of them for the rest of your life, and you know it. I don't care about Wi-Fi. I don't care that it'll send a little message to your phone when the load's done, because I promise you the day that washer breaks, the app is the first thing that stops working and the last thing anybody can fix. None of that is build. All of that is the costume they put on a cheaper machine so they can charge you more for it. Here's what I actually care about. 4 things. How it's built, what the motor is, what the transmission is, what the basket and the bearings and the panels are made of, the bones of the thing. How long it'll run, not the warranty number, the real number, the one you get to by looking at the bones and knowing what they do over 20 years of Tuesdays. Whether a normal person, or at least a normal repairman, can actually fix it when it breaks. because everything breaks eventually, and the only question that matters is whether breaking is the end or just a Saturday afternoon, and whether the parts will still be there to fix it with 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road, when the machine is old enough that the company would much rather you bought a new one. Build, longevity, repairability, parts. That's it. Those are the 4 questions a repairman asks before he'd put a machine in his own laundry room. And they are the only 4 questions that decide whether you buy a washer once or buy one every 6 years for the rest of your life. Hold on to those 4. Everything else on that sticker is noise designed to make you forget them. Number 1, and it's my own pick, the Speed Queen TC5. Now, it's American-made, has been for over a century, same company, same town. But I want to be clear, that's not why it's on the list. Plenty of things get built in this country and built badly. It's on the list because of what's inside it, and to understand why it's inside it, you have to understand the single biggest quiet crime in this whole business. So let me tell you the story of the agitator, because once you see it, you'll never unsee it on that showroom floor. The TC5 has a real agitator, a genuine agitator, that tall post in the middle of the tub that twists back and forth and actually grabs your clothes and drags them down through the water and back up again. That motion, that mechanical churning, is how a washing machine has cleaned clothes for the better part of 100 years. It works. It's not subtle, and it's not gentle, and it's not quiet, and it gets your clothes clean, which is the entire point of owning the thing. Now here's the decay. The agitator is the part the whole industry quietly deleted. Walk that showroom floor today and lift the lids, and on machine after machine after machine, that center post is gone. In its place, you'll find a flat plate sitting in the bottom of the tub. They call it a wash plate, or a little low cone they call an impeller, and what those do is barely stir the load. They kind of slosh it around. They rely on the clothes rubbing against each other to get clean, with not much water and not much motion, and your work clothes, your kids' grass stains. Real dirt. It comes out of there still dirty, and you've run a 40-minute cycle to get it half clean. And here's the part that ought to make you angry. They did not delete the agitator to help you. They deleted it because the flat plate is cheaper to build, fewer moving parts, less metal, a simpler transmission underneath, and because deleting it let them stamp the words high efficiency on the front, since a machine that uses less water and moves the clothes less can claim it sips electricity. So they sold you a downgrade as an upgrade. They took out the part that cleaned your clothes, charged you the same or more, and told you it was progress. That right there in one little plastic plate is the whole game. The Speed Queen TC5 kept the real one. It kept the agitator, it kept the transmission stout enough to drive it, and it washes real dirt the way a washer is supposed to. Work clothes, farm clothes. The genuinely filthy load that the high-efficiency machines just smear around. The design is simple, almost old-fashioned simple, which means there's less to go wrong, and what does go wrong is easy to get at. The parts are everywhere. Any competent tech in the country can work on it, because there's nothing exotic in there to be afraid of. And the warranty's solid, which tells you the company itself believes in the thing. That's everything you want in a machine you mean to own for 20 years and hand to somebody. If I walked into that store this morning to buy a washer for my own house, no hesitation. That's the one I'd carry out to the truck. Number 2 is also a Speed Queen, but it's a different animal entirely. The FF7, and this one's a front loader. Now I'll tell you up front, I am usually hard on front loaders. I've cursed more front loaders on my bench than just about any other machine, because the cheap ones are a misery. The bearings go, the spider arm corrodes, and you're into a repair that costs more than the machine's worth. So when I put one on this list, understand I'm not doing it lightly. This one's built to commercial standards, and the numbers tell the story. It's got a 1 horsepower variable motor. That's a serious motor, not the little thing humming inside a discount machine. It spins at 1200 RPM which wrings a lot of water out before your clothes ever see the dryer. And here's the detail that told me somebody serious engineered this thing. Its balance system will finish the spin cycle even on a load that's out of balance. You know how your typical store machine handles a load that's bunched up to one side. It stops dead, it flashes an error code at you, and it sits there sulking until you come rearrange the wet laundry by hand. The FF7 just handles it. It works the load back into balance and finishes the job, because it was built by people who assumed you'd be washing real loads and not babysitting the machine. Folks who own it will tell you the clothes come out softer, with far less lint. And that's not a small thing. That's the machine actually cleaning the fabric and being gentle with it instead of beating it to death over 20 years. Front load wash done right is genuinely good. This is front load wash done right. Now the honest catches, and there are two, and they're real. First, it's noisy. A one-horse motor spinning at 1200 RPM is not a quiet thing. And if your laundry room shares a wall with where you sit in the evening, you're going to hear it run. That's just physics, no getting around it. Second, and this is the one people ignore until it bites them, it's a front loader, which means it has that rubber door gasket, and you have got to leave the door cracked open when it's not running and wipe that gasket down regularly. Or mold will set up in the folds of it, and your clean laundry will start coming out smelling like a basement. That is not complicated. It is a 30-second habit. But it is not optional, and the people who skip it are the people who end up hating their front loader. So if you love front load wash quality, but you've been burned before by front load reliability, and you'll keep that gasket honest, this is your machine. Number 3 is for the person on a budget who still wants the real thing and not a fake version of it. The Maytag MVWP58. 5GW. Write that model number down. 585GW. And write it down carefully, because this is the one spot in this whole video where I have to be the most careful with you, and I'm going to be completely straight about why. Here's the thing I have to tell you, because if I didn't, you'd rightly call me a liar. Maytag is owned by Whirlpool. Same company. The brand you grew up thinking of as the lonely repairman built like a tank brand. It got bought, and most of the Maytag line today is just a Whirlpool with a different badge screwed onto the front. I've said that plenty of times, and I stand by every word of it. Badge engineering, we call it. Same machine, 3 names, 3 price tags. So when I put a Maytag on a list of machines worth buying, your alarm should go off, and good, that means you've been paying attention. But this exact model is a genuinely different situation, and here's why. The MVWP58 5GW comes off a dedicated commercial assembly line. It is built to a specification that Whirlpool does not put under its own residential name at this level. Inside it, you'll find a half-horse motor, a real gear transmission, metal gears doing the work, not a belt and prayer setup, premium bearings rated for a long, hard life, a stainless steel basket that won't rust out from under you, galvanized panels to fight the corrosion that kills washers from the outside in, and a true dual-action agitator. Real agitator. The center post that twists and the top cap that turns the other way, the very thing we just spent all that time talking about. That is commercial laundry construction. That is the build they put in machines meant to run all day in a laundromat, where downtime costs the owner money, and they happen to sell a version of it to regular folks under the Maytag name. That's the distinction I need you to hold. This isn't residential parts dressed up in commercial-sounding marketing words. This is actual commercial guts in a box you can put in your own basement. And it carries a 10-year parts warranty, which a company does not offer on a machine it expects to fail. On top of that, and this matters more than people realize, because it rides on a huge common parts platform, any tech in the country can get what it needs, usually the same day. Out in the country, that is not a small convenience. That is the difference between a one-day repair and a 2-week wait for a part to ship from somewhere, with a pile of dirty laundry growing in the corner the whole time. I'll say it plainly so there's no confusion. It is not my personal pick. The TC5 still is. But if Speed Queen's price is just out of reach, and you want a genuinely well-built machine with the widest parts network in the country standing behind it, the MVWP58 5GW earns its place on this list honestly. As long as you buy that exact model number and you don't let a salesman hand you some other Maytag with the word commercial sprayed across the marketing and a wash plate hiding in the bottom of the tub. And number 4, and I'm going to tell you something right at the top that most folks making a list like this would never admit. This is the one washer on here I have never had on my own bench. I've never had it apart. And you deserve to know that going in, because I'm not going to pretend to a kind of expertise I haven't earned with my own hands. This one is the Miele. It's German built, and it's engineered to last 20 years. And here's the thing that genuinely got my attention as a repairman, the thing that made me put a machine I've never repaired onto this list. Miele guarantees that parts will stay available for at least 15 years after a model is discontinued. 15 years. Read that back. Most companies want the parts to dry up the day after the warranty ends, because dead parts mean a dead machine means a new sale. Miele put the opposite promise in writing. That is a company building for longevity as a matter of policy, not as a slogan on a poster. And a company that confident in its own machines is telling you something true about how they're made. What's inside backs it up from everything I've read and everyone serious I've talked to. Tight tolerances, the kind of fit and finish where the parts are made to actually match each other instead of being slapped together with slop in the joints. A gentle honeycomb drum that's easy on fabric. And it runs quiet enough that it's having a different conversation entirely from that one-horse Speed Queen front loader. It may genuinely be the finest residential washer money can buy. I believe that's true. But the catches here are real, and they're the kind that can make the best machine in the world the wrong machine for you. First, the price. A Miele starts around $1,500 and it climbs from there. And for a lot of households, that's simply the end of the conversation. And there's no shame in that. Second, and this is the bigger one for folks like a lot of us, Miele wants its machines serviced by authorized technicians. If you live in a big city with a Miele service center across town, wonderful, that's no obstacle at all. But if you're rural, the way a lot of us are, that is a genuine problem. Because the finest washer ever built is worth exactly nothing if the nearest person allowed to fix it is 2 hours away and booked out 3 weeks. So before you spend that kind of money, do one thing. Look up the actual service situation in your area. Find out who can fix it and how far away they are. If the answer is nobody close, then the best machine in the world is the wrong machine for your house, and one of the other 3 is the right one. So let me bring all 4 of these together, because underneath them there's one rule, and the rule is the thing I really came here to give you. It was never about the cycle count. It was never about the touchscreen, or the app, or the Wi-Fi, or the badge on the lid. It was always only 4 things. Is the thing built honestly? Will it last? Can it be repaired? And will the parts be there when it needs them? Build, longevity, repairability, parts. A washer that answers yes to those 4 will outlive your mortgage. A washer that answers no will be in a landfill before your youngest is out of high school, and you'll be standing back on that showroom floor under those 2 kind lights, doing this all over again. And here's the hard truth I want you to walk out with. No brand is bulletproof anymore. Not one. The brand your grandmother swore by got bought and gutted. The brand on that sticker means almost nothing. The model and the year matter far more than the name on the front. The very same brand will sell you a tank and a piece of junk in the same showroom on the same day, and the only way to tell them apart is to know the model number and look at the bones. That's why I keep telling you, no badge is bulletproof. Model and year over the name. every single time. Because here's what that showroom really is, once you understand it. It's 30 lifetime promises and one salesman, and the promises are printed on the cheapest part of every machine, and the salesman is paid to move whatever has the best margin this month. They built that whole room to make you forget the 4 questions, and they did it for a reason that is not complicated and is not an accident. The machine that lasts 20 years gets sold to you exactly once. The machine that dies in 6 gets sold to you again and again and again for the rest of your life. They did the math a long time ago in a room you'll never sit in, and they decided that your washer breaking on schedule was good for business. The deleted agitator, the plastic gear, the parts that vanish the day the warranty ends, that's not them being cheap. That's them being deliberate. It's a business model, and you are the renewable resource. So here's what I want you to do this week. Don't walk into that store and point at the prettiest one, and don't let the man crossing the floor pick for you. Walk in with a model number already written down on a piece of paper in your pocket. One of these 4 or another you've checked against the 4 questions yourself. Ask whether the parts are stocked and who in your town actually repairs the thing. And then buy the boring serviceable machine over the flashy one every single time. Boring is what lasts. Boring is what you can fix. Flashy is what's in the landfill. That's how the old folks did it. Buy it once, keep it running, fix it when it asks to be fixed, and hand it down to somebody who needs it. There was nothing magic about it. They just asked the 4 questions before they spent the money, and they didn't let the lights and the stickers talk them out of it. And it's still how it's done in any home that remembers a washer used to outlive the people who bought it. So tell me down in the comments, what's the oldest washer you ever owned? Give me the brand and the years you got out of it. I want the real numbers, and I read every single one. And next week I'm opening up the dryer that sits right there beside it. The one that came as a matched set, because what they did to that machine is its own quiet little crime, and it's one almost nobody ever catches. Take care of yourselves and take care of the things you own.